What's up, Liron here, and today we're looking at some of my favorite color mixes in watercolor, updated for 2018. What's up, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video. And as I showed you, today I want to show you some of my favorite watercolor paint mixes. This is an updated video for 2018. I did one a while ago. You can probably kind of recognize a few of the mixes here just real quick if you watched the previous video. So these kinds of things really change for me occasionally I get a new paint and I really enjoy it and I really want to use it more. And then I dive really deep in and I try tons of mixes and I find out that some of the work really well together with other mixes, and then I build this color scheme that I love using. And I really wanted to share that with you because let's say you want to get your first watercolor paints. I had a lot of trouble with just figuring out what kind of paints I need. Now, I did talk about the minimal palette and how I like to just get 2 versions of each primary. But now, if you're in a position where you're just about to start or anything like that, then these are really good to get. And I think you can get away with getting maybe between 3 and 5 that will really lead to you creating many useful mixes, and you can just do anything with them. You know, I'm a big fan again of the limited palette. I don't think you need a lot. Quite the opposite. I think if you have too many colors, you get a little bogged down and it doesn't turn out as harmonious as I want it to, at least. So in any case, without further ado, let's get started and look at some of these mixes. Okay, so I want to start with actually a trio or 3 paints, and I have a 2-angle camera now, so you can better see both my palette and my work area. Hopefully that's a bit of a better setup. And I want to start again with a trio. So what we're going to start with is Phthalo blue, okay, Alizarin crimson or quinacridone rose, and nickel azo yellow. Okay, so that's my trio. So I'm going to show them to you kind of separated and then all together. So here we have the Phthalo blue. Let's push it a little stronger. This is actually a Winsor Newton, but I also love Daniel Smith's. Then we're going to add some of the Alizarin crimson or quinacridone rose. It's kind of the same thing. You just want to make sure that it's permanent. This one in particular is permanent, so I'm good on that. This is a permanent Alizarin crimson by SAA. Yeah. So we have this one here. Beautiful, beautiful red. And then finally, and I'm going to spread these out a little more later on, so don't worry, you'll get to have a good look at these. And then we have the nickel azo yellow. So this would be my go-to triad right now. I really enjoy all of these, and now I'm going to open them up a little so you can better see. So here we have some of the phthalo blue, and if I add just a bit of nickel azo yellow to it, you'll start to see how these two combine. This creates a very happy and bright green. Okay, not necessarily my favorite green, but as a whole, this works really well for me. And now we'll add a bit of the alizarin in here, a little bit purer, and you can see how these 3 work really nicely. So this would be my go-to trio. It can be used for many things, and I really enjoyed this one. Next up, I want to show you something I haven't showed you a lot, which is cadmium red plus cadmium yellow. These are on my other palette. I have here the PWC and the SAAs. I told you, remember, about the permanent alizarin crimson by SAA and how it spills very easily. Here's a fine prime example of that. It got spilled all over my palette, and now it's always hard to close and open it. So I'll probably have to soak this in water to solve this, but I'll have to finish the paints first. So to do that, I want to show you the cadmiums, and what I did here I think is a very smart setup. I did 2 wells for each paint. One is meant for purely used paints and another for mixes. So if I'm going to use a pure red, I'm going to use this one, but as soon as I touch something else, I'm going to use this one. Okay, so that way I can keep the paint's purity, especially with the yellow and red. And you know I don't really care about these things for most of the time, but I thought it would be a good thing to do. So here we have the cadmium red dark, I believe. And now I'm going to add to it the cadmium yellow. either dark or light. I really don't remember these ones. I can actually check it. Okay, so correction, it's cadmium red deep and cadmium yellow deep. So here's what they look like and how they mix together. A beautiful, beautiful mixture. I want to show you, and sorry that you can't see my palette now, but later on you'll be able to see when I'm back to this one. And I have this special extra iPhone recording this. Now I want to push it to be as dark as possible, so I'm going to try and grab some pure pigment off of both of these. And the thing with these two is that they're quite opaque. I don't remember if they're semi-transparent or opaque, but they are pretty dominant, so they mix in a very particular manner, unlike the more transparent colors. So that's just something to have in mind. But I love how these two look together. Let me darken a bit of these as well. And a bit of the pure yellow. So these two are beautiful. Another color combination, next one that I really like, and this one is a bit of a more cliche, so I saved it up for a later part, is the French Ultramarine right here, and the Burnt Sienna. Okay, this one is a very well-known mixture, creates interesting, I think, grays. Allows you to play with warm and cool. Now this is Daniel Smith Burnt Sienna, so it's not necessarily the best one for me. I like the more the redder ones. This one's quite brown. If you use Schmincas, you'll see how much of a difference there is between the two. The Schminka one, if I'll have to just mix it on the spot, would look something more like this, just a little more red. I added a bit of Perlin red to it, and maybe even a bit more yellow because it has a bit of orange in it. So it'll look considerably different from this one, but still a beautiful combination, which again allows you to play with grays. So if I'm going to mix these two together, and hopefully you can see this well in my spare camera, I'm going to do it here because this space is already contaminated. You'll see how I get these beautiful grays that I can push over to the blue side, or if I want to, push over to the brownish warmer side like this, and it's still quite gray. Okay, so that's another one that I really, really love. Next one is a not so obvious one, but a combination that I tend to just use a lot. So that will be French Ultramarine together with the Nickel Azo Yellow, and you can replace the Nickel Azo Yellow with any type of yellow really that's a little more towards the warm, not the lemony kind of yellow. And this really produces a very neutral and useful green, in my opinion, good for landscapes and such things. So I really enjoy this one. Now if we push it more towards the blue, I'm gonna just add a bit more blue to this mixture. This is what we get. And if we just push it more towards the yellow, we'll get something like this. Okay, and this is again a really natural green that also, as I demonstrated in the Nickel Azo Yellow paint show episode, works really well with this combination as well, Phthalo blue and Nickel Azo Yellow. So this is why I like this one. The next combination I want to show you isn't so obvious, and that's with the Carbazole Violet, which is also one of my favorite colors. I tend to use it a lot in my processes when I want to darken things up and I am having a challenge with it. So a bit of Carbazole Violet here, and what color am I going to mix it with? That's right, Nickel Azo Yellow. So these two are complementaries, which means they will kind of gray each other out, which allows for interesting plays of colors. So let me mix them up on the palette, and the Carbazole Violet can get really dark, which is what I love about it. So you can get all sorts of interesting grays and browns with this combination that I enjoy a lot. I think it's a good way to mix some very dark, warm shadows, okay? Because sometimes mixing warm shadows is a challenge. It's very easy to get the shadows with the blues, but with the warm colors it's a bit harder, so this is why I would go with that. And this is the main purpose for which I find this one to be particularly useful. And now we can move on to the next and final mix that I like, and this will catch you by surprise, I think, and grab you by surprise, however you say it. The Phthalo Blue and French Ultramarine. Now let me explain. So I was working on some skies for a painting that was rather complex, and I couldn't mix the right color. And then I somehow ended up mixing it from French ultramarine and phthalo blue, and I just really liked the combination. It creates this kind of a Prussian blue almost, which I really like. So if we look at the more French ultramarine edge, we'll get this. And if we look at the more phthalo bluey edge, we get this. And together, I don't know, just the way they mix leads to this beautiful result. And it's not always obvious to mix warm and blue versions of the same primary color, which is why I really wanted to try it out, and I ended up really liking it. It's like you'd almost mix a cadmium red with alizarin crimson, and the result you'll get can be very interesting too. The one thing you need to notice is that the level of opacity between these two can be a little different. The alizarin crimson tends to be more transparent, cadmium yellow is a little more opaque, so you need to make sure they mix well. With these two, they're rather transparent, so it's not really an issue. So there you go, my favorite mixes. I should probably add to that, as a last touch, the phthalo blue and the nickel azo yellow, just to really show you what it looks like. So again, beautiful, beautiful, a little more artificial, but still quite natural green. And this is it. I really hope you enjoyed seeing these mixes updated to the year 2018. These are the most common ones I use, and as you see, I keep it quite simple. I tend to use lots of primary colors. This is how I like approaching it. I don't like to overcomplicate things. I'll usually use just 3 colors for each painting. That way I can keep everything harmonious and working well together. Sometimes in the more complex works, and when I really try to match the color, I will use more than one version of each primary color, but mostly I don't, and outside you can find it really efficient to be quick on your feet and not use too many colors. So in any case, this is it. Let's wrap up this video. So this is it. I really hope you enjoyed seeing my favorite mixes. I was asked to do a more updated version, I guess, of the favorite mixes video. It was just a request for me to make this video, and I'm like, I did one, but it was a while ago. So instead of sending that, I was like, let's make a new one. So I really hope you like these. As you can see, very vibrant colors, very happy. This is my favorite. If there's anything I didn't show you and you are curious about and you know I have the paint, or even if I don't, let me know and I'll try showing it on Instagram or here. If there's a particular mix that interests you, I will be happy to show you. As I mentioned at the end of every video, I'm really trying for the channel to grow. And so if there's anything you want to see, let me know. I want you to enjoy the videos more and more, and I'm trying to improve the quality and quantity. So yeah, trying to just get as many people on board and help as many people as I can. So in any case, this is it. If, by the way, you want to help me in some way and you need to learn how to draw, be sure to check out my beginner's drawing course. It's going to be in the description box below. I did talk about my new Sketching People course. Right now, I don't sell it separately, but only as a bundle, as a part of a funnel of 3 courses. I will keep you updated on it, and I will provide an individual link in the future. But for now, if you want to get the beginner's drawing course or how to shade, check it out. It's going to be in the description box below. And this really helps me to pump out tons of free video here on YouTube. So thank you so much. And I always will hopefully keep doing that and more. And I will see you again in another vid real soon.